Welcome, everyone. I hope all is well. I hope everyone's having a safe and enjoyable vacation. And as we are working towards we're in the middle towards the end of August, it's August 18th to be exact. Time is flying, and before you know it, we'll be heading back to school. And so I thought it would be a good idea to check in with you once again and share with you some of the latest information and the happenings and what we're working on and working towards. So thanks for your time, and we appreciate you logging in. Also, just want to remind you that we have 1,060 families, and it's very hard to host a call where everyone perhaps logs on. Anything over 500 families at a time, we have capacity issues and we end up dropping calls, and we don't want that. So we're doing these pre-recorded Zoom meetings. We feel that it reaches everyone and it works around your schedules. Anytime you have a question, just feel free to drop us an inquiry in the virtual mailbox, and we'll get back to you very shortly. So we're hoping that this is helpful. I'd like to begin with, and it just happened in my household minutes back. I was watching the news, and Governor Cuomo was speaking, and he's talking about New York State as the governor. I just want to remind you that New York City is under the guidance of New York State. However, the mayor's office and the chancellor's office are very much responsible for the Department of Education. And so please just be mindful when you watch that. It's easily to get distracted and wonder, does that affect us in New York City public schools? So stay tuned and always follow the DOE website as well as the school website. And you have a question, just let us know. We can help you out. We don't want people confused. So thank you for the time once again. And today's intentions and session will be focusing on a series of 6, in a sense, intentions. 1, reviewing the model that we'll be using for blending, and then also introduce some of the insight around arrival, dismissal, or breakfast, how kids will travel around the building, provide some insight for student schedules, as well as what will be taking place in our building with respect to cleaning and custodial services, and then also some suggestions on what you can be doing at home, preparing for transition back to school. And lastly, again, if you have questions, how to best contact us. So here we are. As you know, the model that we're going to be using to service our blended students is the model number 2, whereas students will be in cohorts. We're going to title them and group them accordingly: Group A, Group B, Group C. If you hear us using language like cohorts, that's the same thing. And any family who chose to keep kids home during the duration, there will be in a Group D, Cohort D. Just be mindful that every 3, there will be, if you look at the schedule, A, B, and C goes to school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday and Tuesdays will be alternating. So 5 days of school every 3 weeks, okay? To just really push the agenda even more, prior to really solidifying and putting everything and starting putting everything to paper, I kind of double-checked everything with our district office, because we had, if you're looking at the data slide here, we had about 221 families make a commitment that will be staying home, working remotely. So that's 20.8%, 21%. And our total register is 1,060. And so when you're looking at what cohort of students will be coming to school, it comes out to be mathematically in around the neighborhood of 839. And I say in the neighborhood because as we speak, some families are coming into the building, new to our school, and we also have some families that are moving, and that naturally happens over the summer. So it's a very fluid number, but ballpark, we're looking at 839 and dividing them into 3 cohorts. If we were to divide them into 2, like a model 1, where we can increase more time with students in the building, we would automatically be well over 400 occupants, and we can only handle at a given time 34% in our building. Last week, our assistant principals really did some serious work in dividing up our students into cohorts, even cohorts, and also taking into consideration siblings, and making sure that when students are grouped, whether group A, B, or C, we wanted to make sure that it was as even as possible in the best interest of our households. We will be putting the letters in the mail on the 19th, which is Wednesday. It is a customized letter pertaining to your children and their actual assignment, a cohort assignment. And if they're in kindergarten or pre-K, they will also be receiving literature regarding your individual password to log on our platform. When we did this work, we also worked closely with our feeder schools. The feeder schools received from my office last week who is going to be in A, B, and C to better help them as they do their scheduling as well. District 31 schools looks in a vertical way. We understand that at 42, I service families, as well as some of you have kids at 75, and Tottenville High School and whatnot. So just be mindful that to the best of our ability, we had that conversation on your behalf to make sure that we can help everybody. You have any questions, if you notice that you don't get anything in the mail from the school by Monday of next week, give us a call. That means something might be wrong with the address, something might be wrong with our data. Better safe than sorry, so please reach out after a week. We're mailing out on the 19th. Okay, so let's talk about social distancing and how that affects arrivals, dismissals, and school life. So with respect to arrivals, unlike prior practices, as you know, going back, if you're familiar with 42 or if you're brand new, current practices, a lot of pomp and circumstance, exciting times, the first day of school, especially meeting out in the schoolyard, everyone coming together, celebrating our students. And unfortunately, we got to shift gears a little bit and make sure that social distancing at all times is something that we're extremely mindful of. So as a result, we're not going to be meeting in the yard, but in fact, we're going to be having students come in and go directly to their classrooms, at the same time making sure arrival protocols are keeping in tune with social distancing. If need be, to be determined, we might have to stagger grades according to the number of kids coming in. Just again, understand though, at any given time, we only have about 350 some odd students coming in, right? So I think we can handle it with the number of doors we have, making sure safety at all times is always on the top of the list. But we also will be looking to make sure that students transition in, especially socially, emotionally, in the very beginning, to make sure everyone comes in an appropriate way and feeling safe and conducive. We'll be sending out a lot more information on that in the very, towards the end when we get closer to the actual first day of school. We will be doing random temperature checks. What I mean by that is temperature checks depending on the door. The Department of Ed is going to be giving us thermometers to randomly check students and staff. And I'm thinking the more we plan about this, we might have more doors than our traditional back door of the annex and our traditional front door of the main. I think what we will do is look to maybe procure more thermometers and really increase the door capacity so kids can come in and not be concerned about arrivals. We can't stand near each other as we come into the building. I always think of like running with the bulls when the first day of school, every morning, we open our doors, kids are there ready to come in. We have to be socially distant. Please expect to see ample signage around the school campus, both inside, and students will be able to see this inside as well, outside and inside. And if you're a parent of a pre-K child, please understand that we're going to be looking at our pre-K protocols very differently. And so we're going to be messaging separately to your families on how that will look. Our students that are coming in are age 4. We understand that age appropriateness is very important, and we also want them to feel safe and cared for. K parents, I'm pretty sure you're thinking, how are we going to do this too? So what will the first day of school look like? Please expect more information from both me the assistant principals, and our classroom teachers in K, and looking at how we can ensure a safe, conducive arrival that so it can take place. Let's talk a little bit about dismissal. As you know, like I said earlier, unlike prior practices, our dismissals in the past always, at the end of the day, we go to a certain door, we open the door, and we pass kids out accordingly. We all right, there's mom, there's dad, there's grandma, there's grandpa, and whatnot. We can't do that. We can't stand that close to our kids. We can't have kids lined up in a very small stairwell, and we can't have our parents standing outside the gated area, and you too have to be socially distant, right? So my thinking at this moment is we'll probably be considering staggering times, just make it more conducive, and also look to utilize our schoolyard and other spaces outside the building where we will come out and actually dismiss from that practice, making sure that social distancing is taken care of. The entire time, safeguarding our children at all times is extremely important, and we are really depending and deputizing you as parents to make sure that you're helping us and you're helping each other with this. So parent partnerships are extremely important. And again, if you're in pre-K or even K, we will be messaging what that looks like as well, okay? So please expect more insight about dismissal and arrival. Today, I just want to give you some insight about what we're thinking and what we're working towards. I just want to end with this slide by simply saying it is so important that we do this right, okay? We're excited, even when looking over at the model too. In March, April, May, and June, right? Seems like a really long time ago, but that void, we did not have a chance to work with your children, and they didn't see us and we didn't see them, and we didn't see each other as families. But right now we're getting an opportunity to come together in September, and that's a great thing. Yes, I wish we can see each other more. I wish these models can be more kids at a time. And I really think we're going to be shifting towards more opportunities and more kids at a time as this goes on. However, what's really important is we got to do this right. And so socially distancing during arrivals, dismissal, and our cohorts when the kids come in, making sure we follow these rules, because if there is an outbreak in a classroom or confirmed case of COVID, that classroom automatically closes for 14 days for quarantine. However, if there's another case in another room at the same time, there's consideration, and most likely the school will close itself. The school will close for a day or two until New York City tracing and the Department of Health clears us to be open. So we really don't want to fool around with this, and let's minimize risks and make sure social distancing at all times is taken care of. So student meals with respect to social distancing is also something I want you to think about. Traditionally, when students come into the school every morning pre-COVID, there's a grab and go protocol. If a student wants a lunch, or I'm sorry, a breakfast, they can grab that and head upstairs and have it in the classroom. We're going to be using that system. It's been working. And so during arrivals for breakfast, students will, if they want to have a breakfast, they will grab as they go in and head upstairs, but use the same concept for lunch as well. So food services will be providing lunch to all students, and students will be having lunch in their classrooms. The thinking behind that is we cannot really use our cafeterias where traditionally we'll have an entire grade eating at the same time. Best part of the school day is lunch. Ask kids, don't get me wrong, I love it too, but talking about social distancing, it can't happen. We have kids that are sharing a lot of close space in traditional practices. So when students attend school, they'll be having lunch in their classroom. So in a sense, they'll be coming in, and the amount of times we can reduce transitions traveling around the building, we're going to be working towards that, as little movement as possible, but at the same time keeping a healthy mindset, and if need be, and if the opportunities are there, traveling out, let's say for physical education, it's a nice day, we can get outside, or we have the gym available to us. So we will be looking at that and sharing information. But as of right now, with respect to lunch, students will be having lunch in their classrooms. And when they do, that's going to be very much part of their instructional program. So in total, students will be having 7 periods of lunch and 7 periods of instruction, and one of those periods will be a working lunch. Food services will be providing all services if students require a lunch and a breakfast from the school. And of course, you're always welcome to bring in your own lunch as well. School life, any given time when traveling in the building, whether you're passing in the hallway or transitioning, traveling to a bathroom, or let's say we're heading to a class where we're able to support students to get out and visit other rooms, the less movement, the better. Because again, we want to reduce risks as much as possible. But for example, if they're traveling in a hallway, we're looking to code and put signage in our classrooms and stairwells, one-way traveling. Kids will not be passing each other in the hallway. And so if you're like me and you have to run an errand, well, actually, if you're running to the bathroom, the vision would probably be you're traveling in one direction, and once you come out of the bathroom, you're going to loop around. All right, so making sure we reduce as much as possible. We have 2 buildings, 2 campuses, and so we have some work ahead of us, and we'll be sharing that with you as more time goes on. So the student schedule itself, students will be coming to school every day at 8:30. If we have to change the staggering time just in the very beginning, we'll be messaging that, but for the most part, 8:30 starts period 1, and students will arrive, have a morning meeting with their teacher, and have that social emotional conversation, making sure everyone is healthy, check in, and we're going to be hitting the books and looking to catch up with what we need to readdress that happened in March, April, May, and June, as well as accelerate learning and making sure that student needs are met. So the 7 periods, we're going to take them very seriously. And so the instructional lunch for students will be in and around 11:30, depending on how we create a schedule and a teacher's schedule. And that's something Mr. Sharkey, I'm working towards, and administration is working on as we speak. Student dismissal will be approximately 2 o'clock. So again, if we have to alter that, we will share that with you, but 8:30 arrival, dismissals at 2. Again, social distancing is incredibly important, so we'll be mindful with that. We have a huge reliance on our school for morning care and STAR, so any student that uses those services, we are looking to keep that in place. We're waiting for approval, and we will also create a protocol where it's self-sustaining and making sure that we can cover the costs and make sure that we provide the services as appropriate. When I did an inquiry, I was told, they didn't say, no, it can't be possible. They said, please allow us to work this out. And at the same time, I'm coming up with plans to make sure that the environment is conducive and it's cleaned and well-maintained to reduce risk or make sure we don't put anyone at risk, okay? Custodial cleaning. Let's talk about this for a little bit. It's a very, very important piece. In fact, looking at our virtual general office, it seems to be a very common trending question about how will we ensure our environment stays clean. So with respect to all PPE and handing out of sanitizers and whatnot, the City of New York is covering all those expenses and providing all those materials, and our custodial staff will be responsible to have 30 days plus of supplies on hand. Bathrooms will be cleaned and inspected throughout the day and as necessary, and there will be logs to ensure. That's something the head custodian and I are going to be working on carefully. And also, there's a lot of conversations around when you watch the news or if you went into a few town halls with our chancellor, ventilation systems. Our ventilation system at PS42, we do have some partial areas that have filters, such as our auditorium, gym, and cafeteria. All the other classrooms have exhausts and ventilation systems predominantly through windows, and we also have ductwork that is pulling fresh air through the windows and out. So everything is in working condition. Some of our classrooms have air conditioning units, as you know. This is always something that we've been working towards to get it in every environment. And that, by the way, folks, is ongoing. The Department of Ed approved the contractor to finish up the electrical work, and they're on the end phase of that. And the next phase will be putting window units in all of our classrooms. So we're excited about that and making sure that that continues. But I just want you to be mindful that air conditioning units itself is not something that is what we use for filtration. It is more about for conditioning the air, removing the heat out of the air. That's what air conditioning is all about, conditioning the air. Anything and everything we use to clean has to be approved by the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and making sure that it's a registered product so it's safe and conducive for children and staff, as well as it meets the criteria for antiviral products. We have what's called an electrostatic backpack. Every school will be provided at least one. We're hoping to have multiple backpacks. I was in school last week and I learned it was delivered. We're looking to get more. But this is a backpack that provides a disinfected material that encompasses and envelopes the entire surface that you're using it on. And so we'll be using everything, the electrostatic backpacks, as well as all the antiviral products on all non-porous areas, surfaces such as desks or chairs or tabletops, drinking fountains, faucet handles, door hardware, push plates, handrails, high frequency areas will be continuously being checked, and we will use antiviral materials and also the electrostatic backpacks in our classrooms. Right now, I'm posting on our school website all the cleaning protocols New York City schools will be using, including what we will be using at PS42 right here on our website too. So if you want to check that out some more, feel free to do so. And again, you have a question, you know where you can find us. So there were so many questions that were coming in. And again, I'm glad that people are using the virtual general office. But I want to just get you caught up to speed with some of the major ones that we're working on and working towards. And I apologize if we still don't have the answers yet, but we are still working to making sure we get that for you. Right now, the Department of Ed is saying we're working on certain things. And so I'm your advocate, and we're going to keep working towards it. So with respect to learning about what's available for households who require kids to be, whether in our school with us for a day or during a cohort visitation, or if you're working from home at all times, but you require students to be under supervision, like a rec center, we're working to get you that information as soon as possible. We're waiting for it as well. We're really pushing the Department of Ed to tell us a little bit more about what's happening with busing. I was told last week that they are working towards it. Right now, the major hurdle is being able to socially distant students on a bus, at the same time making sure everyone has access to busing. The big one for us is the clarity on who will exactly be providing the remote instruction. As a dad, I want to know who my child's teacher is. As a principal, I want you to know who your child's teacher is. But at the same time, staff is also submitting accommodations, because in the city of New York, the teaching staff, some of our teachers, due to health or due to what's going on, they have the right to actually put in for an accommodation. For example, pregnancy, let's just say that's an example, or maternity concerns. So what will happen is we're learning about who is going to be accommodated to work from home. They will probably be supporting our students who are working remotely, but I want to be able to give you the playbook on who will be providing the services of students A, B, and C cohorts when they're not in school, as well as students in cohort D when they're home. And right now, the good news with all this is the chancellor's office is saying, to the best of the school's ability, they're looking for those services to be rendered. And that's a good thing. That helps you, that helps us, because we know our staff very well, and every one of our players works very hard. So we're going to be working towards giving you more insight on that. I mentioned before, morning care and aftercare, we're looking and we're hopeful. And also, if you have materials that you left in the building, and rightfully so, we have a lot of students who have things in there left in the school that are important to you. First, I would just say, since March, it's been in a bag. If you really feel it's important to get it, you let us know. We're going to be putting out a protocol at the end of August, early September, before school starts, and we'll make arrangements to pass that off to you. If we have art materials and art projects that are not within that bag and are still within the art rooms, we will get that to you as well. It's very important, but please expect to hear from us about a protocol on how to pick up anything that you left. Reimbursements, finally, I can say that at this point, everything is being reimbursed as we speak. You should have received a refund via on your account or credit on your account. And if snail mail is the way you operated last time, we're going to be mailing you a check. Perhaps it's just delivered this week. So moms and dads, as we venture into this session, to me, this is just as important as all the other information. So between now and the first day of school, and the first day of school is scheduled for September 10th, as it's stated on an earlier slide. And if I didn't say that, I apologize. Just to go back a little bit. So New York City Public Schools did not release their calendar just yet. When they do, we'll be messaging it. But right now, the scheduled start date is September 10th. And so between now and September 10th, some of the things I think we should be working on together as a team and a partnership is we insulate our kids very well. We're very protective of our kids, and I know that. But when you go out and about, sometimes like say you're going to shop right at a supermarket or whatever you're doing, you might not want to bring your kids, and I get it. But we're not really asking our kids to wear masks for very long periods of time. And yet, come school, they will be required to do so. So what I want you to start doing and thinking about is getting them to wear it more often. And wearing that not only more often and for that duration of time, but also making sure that it's worn correctly. It's not a chin guard, or it's not just to cover your nose or just your mouth and not your nose, and vice versa. I really want you to get in the habit of kids to wear them appropriately and that they fit. It's a great opportunity to figure out, a mask that's something that is really interesting and something they're excited to wear to the best of your ability. Let's face it, it's a tough lift wearing a mask all day. And so what I would suggest is, make them part of the equation, talk to them. Get them to understand why it's important. At the same time, do not create fear. But at the same time, let them pick a character, a theme, or something that they're interested in, okay? If kids don't have a mask, we're going to be requiring it and providing it, okay? So it's really important that we take that seriously. Let's start working on that. What does social distancing mean? We use it often, but do kids know? And so let's remind them that those little 4 tiles in our classrooms, each tile is 1 square foot. And the distance between me and my friend or 2 classmates, it has to be 6 tiles. Or take out a tape measure and let's look at what that looks like. Hand washing. Let's not just do what my kids do. I have one upstairs right now. Not like turning on the faucet, wetting your hands, and then towel drying and throwing the towel on the floor. But it's more about making sure we wash our hands and lathering our hands with soap and water and singing the happy birthday song in your head. And if you want to sing it out loud, go for it. But making sure we do that appropriately. And if when using hand sanitizer will be in every single classroom, and hand sanitizer will be in stations throughout the building. That's really important. The custodial staff will be furnishing all these materials for us throughout the entire time duration of COVID. Stations in the hall, when you come in, stations in the classrooms, work in sinks, everything is ready. But when students are using hand sanitizer, it's really important that they know how to use it. And it's not a simple thing just putting in your hands, but sometimes too much doesn't work and too little doesn't work. So I would consider practicing with that. What about seeing a friend you haven't seen in a while? That's important. So those impulsive behaviors, I'm going to have to work on that myself. I'm a big fan of high fives and giving hugs, but you know what? different times now. So old school hugs and high fives, we have to rethink. So let's have those conversations about how we can say hello to our friends. So these are good little homework suggestions I would like you to consider. And of course, moving towards the end, once again, I'll always push this. Our school website, we take it very seriously. We're always enhancing and making sure the most current information is available. This deck, this live recording, as well as just the deck itself, the PowerPoint, will be posted on our website. Also, at any given time, any type of question, and trust me when I tell you, we're pretty deep on that list right now. Every single question gets answered as fast as possible, and it's a quick turnaround. And we're also tracking, making sure that everyone gets an answer, and we have an awareness of answers. And so if something was to change or we misinformed people, we would recontact them. So please use the virtual general office on our website. It's there, and it's very helpful. So if there's a question after hearing what was shared or you want more insight, you please post it on the virtual general office. And lastly, I just want to once again go over that today's intentions is to give you just that insight to where we are and what we're working towards. We are not there yet. We have a lot more information to figure out and also share with you. And PS42 is in the process of learning a lot about the information coming down from the Department of Education. I am serious when I tell you I understand my role as a principal. I am the Department of Education as far as your point of view. And so I work for you, and I'll be continuously working towards getting you the answers you need. Email us, email this the general office, and we get back to you immediately. All right, folks. So with that being said, I just want to wish everyone a good week. You will probably hear from me again via Zoom, and definitely letters and materials that will be memorialized, created, and sent out to help us transition back into school. Today's intention is really just to do a check-in and kind of alleviate some of the thinking and wonderings. Be safe, be well, and we miss you. Can't wait to see you guys soon. Thank you.